About 3 months ago, my husband, Clark, had this luminous idea to buy a house set in a rural landscape. God, I'd hated the idea of leaving Boston. But yes, like so many wives, I gave in even though it was 30 miles away in the middle of nowhere. When we arrived, Clark loved it. All I could see was the moss beneath the woodwork and the many cobwebs. It filled my heart with disgust.
It was as though the wind cried for mercy when the three friends crept across the battlefield late at night. They used the cover of darkness to flee the site where tons of souls had found their last destiny in the mud. A few were still alive and screaming, unaware of the fact that they were dying, still struggling to hold on for just one more minute, thinking help would arrive, just waiting in vain for medics who never came. Many bones and skulls were buried in the mud, only to be exposed after a bombing. The smell of death and rotting bodies attracts insects and rats, the only winners of the Great War.
I know that you have to be careful when you walk alone in the dark, especially when you're walking alone in a bad neighborhood like this one. If you're a girl, you might as well just ask to be raped. Shit happens nowadays. Just read the newspapers. The headlines scream out to the reader about murder, rape, robberies, and more. It's no fun anymore to be out in the dark, but sometimes you just can't stay away from it. Sometimes, you have to be brave and walk through a tough neighborhood like this one, where the junkies live on the street and urinate against the walls. A neighborhood with colorful and pointless graffiti.
It was a cold winter day in December when I arrived at the old house by the cemetery. A cold wind tugged at my clothes as I opened the door. Cautiously, I looked around and listened to every sound. To my relief, it was all quiet, and I walked into the hallway. It was dark. My friends had told me the place was haunted, and I'd bet $100 that I would dare to spend the night there. I regretted it already, but I refused to pay up. I turned on my flashlight as I walked farther down the hall. It was damp and cold, and I noticed cobwebs on the ceiling.
It was late at night when her cell phone rang. Exhausted, Samantha rubbed her eyes and picked the phone up off the nightstand near her bed. She stared at the display to see who dared to bother her. It was her brother Mike. "Mike, this had better be good," she said. "I'm sorry to call you this late, but something bad has happened." Her brother's tone alarmed her greatly. Samantha was wide awake then and turned on the light. "What happened? You make me nervous," she said, blinking a few times. She could hear his rasping breath. "Mike, Jim, he's been killed," he sobbed and blew his nose.
It was cold outside and the wind whirled down the outside of the old house as Carla walked by. She pulled her coat tighter around her body as, to her chagrin, hailstones pelted her. She always hated the winter and doing holiday shopping in that weather. But, yeah, it's the best time of the year, they say. Carla didn't like this time of the year. All the fuss and cooking, being nice to people she hardly knew or people she didn't like. She felt the same as the old house she had just passed, dark and empty. Carla was always sad when Christmas arrived. Her first husband had committed suicide on Christmas Eve 12 years earlier. He had suffered from bipolar disorder and could no longer face life. His only way out was suicide.